Welcome to my brand new podcast, Parenting and You, with me, Dr. Shefali. Now, this isn't your typical parenting podcast. My message, you see, isn't about fixing our children or creating that perfect child. It's about helping you, the parent, discover how you can get out of your own way and consciously connect with your children so that they grow to be the most empowered, resilient, and worthy. In this podcast, I speak directly to real parents who are in the throes of their parenting struggles, and I help them in real time. Like you, the listener, I have never met these parents before. So it's completely unscripted, spontaneous, and organic. It is raw, real, deep, and so relatable. Even though you may not be going through the exact same challenges as my guests, there will be universal teachings that will transform your life. Parent or non-parent, this is a podcast to help every human who has been a child or is raising one. In this episode, we're going to be talking about something that every parent does: making endless schedules and timetables. We parents fill up calendars because we believe we can predict our children's every move. We have these visions that they will be in bed by 7 o'clock so that then we can talk to our girlfriends or watch a Netflix show, have some wine, or dare I say, a romantic dinner. But when all these plans go to bust, because you know our children, they don't follow any script, then we lose our minds. We yell, we scream, and everything falls apart. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you the reason why our best laid plans with our children may not be going quite as well as we hoped, and what we can do about it instead. My first guest is a mother struggling with sleepless nights in a household that is filled with toddlers, and there's a baby on the way. I always say that if the first 10 years of your parenting are not a haze of exhaustion, confusion, sleep deprivation, then you are doing something wrong. Add a few more children into the mix, and now we have a roller coaster ride. Everything is on steroids. It's a tsunami of emotions, overwhelm, and fatigue. Well, that's what my next guest, Amy, is in the midst of. She has a 3-year-old daughter who she says is experiencing night terrors and bad dreams, and every night is endless stream of taking her to the bed and then bringing her back. Oh, I know so many parents are going to relate. And then she has another 1.5-year-old daughter and another child on its way. So Amy is in the throes of it. Welcome, Amy. I know you have a lot to share with us.
Hi. Yeah, definitely a lot to share. And I think you explained it perfectly to a T. We have been very sleep deprived, my husband and I. And between the two of them, it's been hard to sleep. You know, 2 children in the same bedroom together is hard enough. But when one is, let's say, not into it, not into sleep as much as she used to be, which she was a very good sleeper when she was a baby. We never had any issues. So it was a kind of shock to the system to now start dealing with this with her.
Yes. So when would you say her sleep issues started?
The second that we moved her from a crib to a bed.
How old was she?
She was, it was before she had turned 3. So I want to say, I think she was about 2.5. I felt like it was a little bit early for her, but my child is very active. And for her to not even start climbing out, it was around Christmas, because she jumped out of her bed Christmas morning saying, I want to see Santa. And that was, not safe anymore. We can't climb out of the crib.
Right. And now where is your 1.5-year-old? Does she sleep with you?
No, she's in the room with her. We moved her in there when she was about 7 or 8 months old. So they've been sharing a room for over about a year now. And when they were in cribs, it was really not a challenge. I mean, of course, there's the couple nights here and there, and there's the illnesses. But ever since we've started with her being able to let's call it escape, it's been a challenge.
Right. So you are of the mindset, right, of the agenda. You have an agenda. And your agenda is A, keep her safe. B, can you please go to sleep already so I can sleep? But your child, as is often the case, has a different agenda. And her agenda is to answer to an emotional need. She has an emotional need to feel safe, to be with mommy. And we have to remember that your 3-year-old has been through a lot of changes. When she was 1.5 years, your other child was born. So already she was experiencing, where's mommy? Mommy's not mine anymore. Mommy doesn't belong to me. I have to share her. And I just want all parents to understand that there are some key developmental phases that we cannot ignore. And one of the first ones is around the age of 1.5 years. Around 18 months to 24 months, our children experience what's called separation anxiety. What that means is that for the first time in their life, they are exploring their worlds separate from mommy. But they need mommy to return to. They need that secure attachment. So look what happened to your 3-year-old exactly during her separation phase. What happened? You had another child.
Although she took to it well, she was always been a mommy's girl. It's always been me as the priority parent to her. And obviously I was nursing and there was a lot of things going on and we read all the books, did everything we could to prepare. And there's always going to be some things that we can't tend to exactly. So she's going through a transition, which is why we prolonged the bed as long as we could. But like you said, as soon as safety came into the play, we had to change her.
Yes. Now I can give you a real quick solution, which I will at the end. Don't worry. I will give you something to do. But I first want you to understand something deeper. Whenever our children go through a transition, be it even at 13 or 17, there is going to be an emotional fallout, even though we have mentally and logically prepared for it. You see, we adults work on logic. Children work on emotion. It's like we are one brain and they are another completely different brain. Children work more from the right brain, which is intuition, abstraction, dream, feelings. We work from the left brain, which is, the L brain, linear, logical. We are constantly talking in language that they cannot understand because they're operating completely differently. So I want you to understand that an agenda on the side of the parent will make it harder for the parent to adjust. So your agenda is that she needs to sleep in her bed, right?
Yeah.
And every night is a constant back and forth struggle, isn't it?
Yes. Getting her down and then staying in. I mean, we definitely have our nights that are great, but she comes out every night, at least. Every other night, we should say. And she's either looking for me. She is currently potty training. So she's also looking for the bathroom, which we bring her to. And then, like you said, with the night terrors, I had her one night, which was devastating for me, come out and say, Mommy, why did you and baby leave me in the elevator? Why? Why did you leave me? And so I'm now consoling her because, that's terrible to feel that way. So I think that she's, like you said, having a lot of emotions and that separation anxiety a little bit.
So let's reframe a night terror to something more emotional. It's not just a night terror, it's a fear of abandonment. And that's exactly consonant with where she is developmentally. See, when our children act out, we give it a label which somehow makes them feel to us that they are the problem. They are having an experience that they shouldn't have. And I'm here to tell you that children actually, in their own abstract way, are always quite attuned to what they're going through. They just don't have the language to express it. And we label it in a way that makes us feel like they are wrong. So they're not having a night terror because they are quote unquote crazy. they are having a deep fear of abandonment, which comes out at night because it's unfamiliar, it's dark. They're so young, they can't grapple with the shadows and what's real, right? And they live in a world of dream anyway. So their imagination is on override. So any shadow she sees, she thinks it's a monster. So it's very understandable once you understand a child's brain to understand what they're really communicating. So let's go a little deeper. So every time she comes out of the bed, you, Amy, are going through some interpretation, some belief systems in your mind. Oh, I can't believe she's doing this. Or, oh, why doesn't she? So can you give us a little peek into what's going on in your mind as a reaction to when she doesn't listen to your command?
Well, actually recently, because I am pregnant and about a little bit more than halfway, my husband is quicker to jump out of bed than I am. So he's been the one who's kind of been battling with it more than me. But as far as what I'm thinking during it, I'm a little just confused. Like, what could it be that's not keeping her in bed? And why do you want to get out? We've thought a little bit about, the potty situation. Like, is she not going enough during the day? That's something that, you're going through every little detail that you could have missed to make her more comfortable at night.
Right. So you're trying to figure it out. And when your husband gets up, and I want us to pay attention to the word you used, you said he battles it out. Right. So now look at the energy behind that word. Right. A big, strong man. Right. For a 3-year-old, any adult is a big, strong person. And then men are more masculine in their energy. Now he's going to battle. You used that word. I didn't.
Yeah.
So he's going to battle with a 3-year-old. What do you think she must be experiencing when this big guy who's upset, a little bit on the edge, coming at her, right? So imagine what she must be feeling. That's what empathy is. When we put ourselves in our children's shoes and imagine the world according to them. And tell us what your husband typically does. You hear him. Yeah. What's his tone? What's his vibe?
He usually comes in calm at first. I mean, if it's a rough put down beforehand, he's a little bit, I hear him huffing and puffing a little bit, like, here we go again. When usually it's a, Charlotte, what's up? What do you need? Because she kind of meets us at the door.
Right.
We hear it because all of a sudden the sound machine is much louder than it was. Right. And sometimes she'll just say, I have to go potty, which is, bring her to the bathroom. She goes, we bring her back. And typically those nights she kind of just goes back and that's it. But sometimes she'll say, I want to go downstairs. And, we battled a lot of illness this winter, nothing severe, but just, as they're in daycare 4 days a week. So they're getting sick a lot. And when they are sick, my husband tends to take them down to the couch and sleep with them. So I think she's associating being with my husband downstairs on the couch.
Well, she's also associating him with the possibility for body contact and physical safety. You see, she's associating, maybe I get to sleep with daddy. Our children need so much closeness. And in this Western model of raising children, we've created this idea that children should be separated from us. This is a complete new modern Western invention. And our original design, I went to visit a tribe in Africa, in Tanzania. It's one of the last hunter-gatherer tribes in the world. And I observed how they are with their children. Their children never leave them. There are no rooms. Everyone is together. And there are so many mothers consistently present and available for children. So anytime a child feels unsafe, there's no question that they can just crawl into their mother's lap. And the beautiful thing is we couldn't figure out who the mother was. What that means is that there's availability of maternal energy. And in this Western world, we are like, go to your bed. We have created this idea that autonomy needs to start very early. And that is a very big mistake on our part. Because conversely, the more you cut the cord earlier and tell our children to be autonomous, separate beings before they are ready, they actually become more codependent, more clingy, more whiny, because children are supposed to be with their safe harbors, with the adults in their lives, especially with their mommies. They are designed, they came from your womb. They are looking for home. So, here we are with an agenda, and our children are clearly telling us what they need from us, and we're not listening, right? We are asking logically, what do you need? Well, children are not logical. They are emotional. So as you're listening to this, Amy, and now you're understanding the answer to your confusion, right? You had confusion. What does she need? So rephrase back to me what you're hearing me say that your child needs, so that you are never confused again, because it's quite clear. So tell me what you're hearing.
Yeah, she needs emotional attachment. She needs physical attachment, and it all lines up. I typically, so I work part-time, and during the fall months, I work less. And during the springtime, I'm working more. So she is getting less of mommy. She is to the point where we're really gracious. My mom helps in the morning, and she sees me for about 15 minutes in the morning nowadays. So I can end the fact that my husband is the one that's coming to her. So I know that she is looking for me, which is part of the reason why we kind of defaulted over to him. Is when I would go, it would never end. It would be, I want to be with mommy, and I'm not going to sleep unless mommy's there. As soon as she sees my face. Right.
So again, we are looking for it to end. That is your agenda. You're looking for her need for her most beautiful companion, you, to end. She will not end by you deciding it's 3:00 in the morning, it needs to end. I just want us to observe how many agendas we have as parents, and we're coming down on these little beings with so much linear expectation. Okay, it's been 30 minutes, and now mommy's going there, and now you go to sleep. It doesn't work like this. Childhood is circular. There is no end. It's constant, right? And what a beautiful thing she's saying to you. What she's saying is, I feel safe with you. I need you to calm my nervous system. You are my home and my harbor. You are the one who regulates me. You make me complete. And guess what? Young children till the age of 6 or 7 are supposed to be saying that. And that's why when we grow up as adults, we are chaotic, we are dysregulated, we are seeking substances to soothe us. Because in the earlier years, our attachment figures were disconnecting too fast. And let me remind you, when you are stressed about a project at work, when you are overwhelmed or overthinking something from your day, doesn't that keep you up at night?
Definitely. So
why shouldn't she be different? She's like, but the most beautiful thing about children is they know they're missing something. We just don't know how to decode their language to figure out what they're trying to say, because we are coming from our head. We are talking logic, like, she went to the bathroom, she ate enough, she went to school, she should be tired, right? We are going based on our perspective, and we are just failing to attune to our children. So I'm going to give you the solution now, okay? It's very, very simple, but Western trained parents don't like the solution. So let's see if you're going to resist it, okay? All you need to do is get into bed with her, right? So at 2:00 in the morning when she wakes up, you tell her as soon as she gets out, oh, you woke up? Here I am. And don't even fight with her. Just go, I understand. You're a little scared. Here's mommy. And you get into bed with her and you fall asleep. That's all you need to do.
I mean, I will be honest. I'm a little selfish in this, that if I sleep with her, I will not sleep. And I will be up the whole night.
Okay. And why do you have that fear?
I'm a very light sleeper. I'm very uncomfortable now, with it being the third pregnancy. And
Okay, so I'll give you another solution, another variation. Move your other child's crib to the side. Put a mattress in between one child and the other child. Put a little scarf between her and you and put her one scarf end on her wrist and one scarf end under your pillow and tell her, look, we're connected. Look, we're totally together. You hold that and I hold this. And anytime you need mommy, you tug at the scarf. It's a symbol of the umbilical cord, of our attachment. And you're right there. And you're, look, I'm sleeping right here. In fact, I would tell you, except if you want to, have some fun with your husband, that should be your bed at night because you're too exhausted. You have a little one who's 1.5. You have another one rumbling in your tummy. Mommy is exhausted. You are making your life harder. Sleep on the mattress right there. The child just needs to know that you are right there and you're going to make it. Guess what? Mommy got a new bed. She's going to put it right here. And I'm going to be here till the new baby comes. Don't worry. And then put a scarf, put a chime, put a whatever. There's so many ways to show that connection symbolically. But really, it's that you are available to her. And she doesn't have to leave the bed ever. Look, you just pull this or you ring this bell and mommy's right here. Yeah. And that's how we, quote unquote, train her to stay in bed. Every child wants to sleep beautifully. The reason they don't sleep is because their emotional regulation is off, is because they're so anxious. And you need to start regulating her by being right there. And now for the next, say, 4 weeks, every time she gets up, you're going to just reach out and pat her and go, I'm right here. You don't need to get up. I'm right here. You don't need to get up. And that consistency and that soothing is just going to regulate her. And you are going to get a child in 6 weeks or 8 weeks who learns to stay glued to her bed because her needs are being met. And it will take a few weeks now, and don't expect it to end tomorrow, but you're going to be a better slept mother, so you're going to be more rested. She's going to be more soothed. Your husband is going to be calmer, and the whole household is going to change in its energy.
Yeah. And do you feel like, because I'm willing to put in that work and
It's actually less work. No, it's less work.
Yeah. But just, I think for me personally, and like you're saying, like just the Western way of the world is just, it's a hard thing to now, okay, am I creating something else that, when does it end?
Beautiful.
Am I taking a cue from her or when does that end?
You have a fear that if you do this, you will soon have a 25-year-old who doesn't sleep on their own. Of course you do, because that's what we parents do. We go straight into the future, When I tell parents, soothe your child now, immediately they go, well, what if they're 35 and they are in a different country and they ask me to get up and come and visit them at night? I mean, we have such irrational fears because we magnify and catastrophize the problem. I'm talking about right here, right now.
Right now.
What does my child need right now? In our fear of the future, we stop meeting the present need. Don't think of the future. Is it working right now? Let me ask you. I always ask parents, well, okay, exactly. So what are we talking about? Is your solution working? No. So follow my lead. Meet your child's need for as long as it takes now. Put in the work at the front end is what I always say. So you put in less work at the back end. The more you meet your child's needs 0 to 7, the more free you are after they are 17.
Got it.
Now, that should be your goal. Your goal is not to create autonomy now, because this is not the age for autonomy. This is the age for interdependence. You're trying to cut it short. We Westerners are so quick. We're like, okay, when am I going to be off the clock? When is this going to end? See, that's our question. And whenever we're looking for something to end, we are not present to the moment before us. You're already coming with the energy. When is this going to end? So surrender to the child's need, meet it, and in a few months, you will have a better adjusted child.
Yeah. And because I hear that, because I see on the nights that we do just, I don't want to call it give in, but, give in to the needs of just her wanting to be with us. And those are the nights that we have.
Right. But I love the words you're using because you're thinking this is a battle and you're thinking who's going to win. So whenever you quote unquote give in, it's like you're losing. You are winning. Meeting your children's needs is the most beautiful concept, philosophy in the world. But again, and I don't know a little bit from your husband because men don't like sharing their wives at night with their children.
He's okay.
Well, he needs to get with the program because
He's okay.
A more rested mommy is a, more fun, loving wife. So we all just need to surrender. Let's call it an act of connection, an act of surrender. Don't use the words battle and giving in, because then you're going to feel like you're a bad parent, and you're actually the better parent when you meet your children's needs.
Yeah. No, I hear it in everything that I'm saying. So, I mean, you're bringing a lot of things to light that have always been there, but just not thought about in that particular way.
Yes.
So it makes a lot of sense.
Yes. So thank you so much for participating and for going along with the ride. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Didn't you all relate to Amy's experience? I certainly did. I've had so many moments in my parenting journey where I felt I was in a battle with my child. I felt that if I gave in, then I would be losing. And what I did not realize is that I was already losing. What I was losing was my connection with my child. You see, when we parents get into this power struggle with our children, when we fight with our 3-year-olds or our 12-year-olds, we are believing that we are educating them, that we are training them, that we are teaching them. But I'm here to tell you that those power struggles are typically a sign of a deep and abiding disconnection between ourselves and our children. Joining me next is a young woman who's currently pregnant, and she has been consuming so much information on social media that it is actually crippling her. Joining me now is Sandy, who's pregnant with a boy, and she says that she doesn't want to be a boy mom. I don't even know what that means, but she's going to tell us. Welcome, Sandy. So what are you talking about? What is this boy mom that you're afraid to become?
When I first found out I was pregnant with a boy, almost like an influx on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, influx of information about being a quote unquote boy mom. She's a tiger. She's overly involved in her son's life. She's overprotective and very much so attached. And one of the things that I noticed is that there are two sides to it. There are the boy moms who are like, that's my son, and it's very possessive. And one of my fears is I don't want to start that, even now, where I'm like, my son, there we go.
Right.
And I think a lot of the information that's being shared has brought me to think introspectively of how can I love my son, protect him, raise him, but also not push that boundary line of where we're enmeshed.
Yeah, great concerns. That just shows how aware you are, how concerned you are, and how you're really trying to show up the best way for your child. I wish I was like that when I was pregnant. I did not have all this information that you have, but I can also see how too much information can be a little bit debilitating, right? In this world of TikTok and social media, there's so much psychological data out there that I think it can be overwhelming for a new mother like yourself. Too much out there. Don't do this and don't do that. And now you're introducing me to this whole term I didn't even know about, boy mom. Like there's a whole category called a boy mom. So now you, pregnant with a son, you're so scared about not being that. So sometimes ignorance is bliss, and too much information can be debilitating. So we want to make sure that we're not overly consuming too much information out there that actually debilitates and paralyzes us. We don't want to get stuck in some, fear around how we're going to be before the journey's even started.
Yes, exactly. And it's hard to filter out what is good parenting information and what's in parenting information that could potentially be paralyzing. And what I'm trying to do now is like take a step back, see what will let me enjoy my journey, because being a boy mom shouldn't have a negative association. It should be something celebrated, something exciting. You're going on this new journey into parenthood. The
Exactly.
gender or sex of the baby shouldn't be a source of fear of how you parent.
Exactly. You're getting ready to be a mom, period. It doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl. That's too much fixation on the child's gender and how their gender expression will be. You're going to be a mother. And let me tell you, the best thing you can do for yourself right now is, of course, read a few parenting books about what to expect, those generic parenting books. But I wouldn't, if I was you, overly consume too much material and information about how you're going to be in the future, and instead focus on who you are right now. What your child needs from you is a mother who isn't overly anxious, is a mother who is present, a mother who feels confident in herself. So if you're reading all this data that is actually paralyzing you and crippling you, making you feel less than a good mother, that's going to actually show up in your parenting, and your child is going to pick up on that. So let's throw out all those parenting books right now, because let me tell you, no matter how much you prepare for this journey, it is ultimately the most unpredictable journey of your life. The best preparation is to realize you can never be prepared. The best preparation for motherhood is to realize that you need to be in the present moment. So all this future planning, all this anxiety is robbing you of these last few months you have to be with Sandy, to be with yourself, and to really settle into this idea that you're birthing a new human being. Guess who you're birthing first? You. Your own mothering energy, your own motherhood. So let's focus on that instead of thinking about being a boy mom or how you're going to be with that child or what your child is going to do. Let's focus on Sandy and your present moment awareness of yourself, and use these next few months to really love who you are right now, because you are going to change the most. No one is going to change more than Sandy. And I often tell new mothers, are you ready to embrace the death of your old self and a connection to a brand new you? You know, that's what's going to happen in your parenting, that you have to connect to a new you. And when you connect to a new you, that's what's going to allow you to connect to your son, not some idea of how it should be or what it could be like.
I actually have not thought about it in that perspective as yet. I think in the preparation of, do we have the crib, the bedside bassinet, all of these material items, I absolutely did not think of the perspective of going into this new journey in life as myself. I thought of the baby that's coming along the way. I've thought about my partner. I've thought about setting up a lot of the logistical aspects of going into motherhood without actually preparing for myself emotionally.
Oh my goodness. And that's the key to parenthood. And you just hit the nail on its head. We are always thinking about the logistics, you know, the bed and the bassinet, or where the child will sleep, or what they will eat. And we're really good at doing all that stuff. I mean, many of us are, not all of us. But we completely forget that what your children need the most, especially from us mothers, is our ability to connect to them, to show up with energy, with enthusiasm, with calm, with confidence. That's what we need to be preparing for right now. You know, I teach young parents, and I have so many courses about how to reclaim your inner connection as a parent, because that's what is going to show up in your relationship with your child. If you're not calm, if you're dysregulated, if you're anxious and sleepless and agitated and feeling like you're unworthy as a human being, that's going to show up in your parenting. You're going to be hesitant. You're going to be confused. You're not going to be confident. And that vibe is what your child is going to absorb very early on. So throw out all the extra books and just instead focus on meditation, entering your present moment. How do I regulate my emotions? How do I leave my head and enter my heart? How do I show up for Sandy with the utmost care and compassion? Because the more caring, connected, and compassionate you are to yourself, and this is for every parent listening, if we're not present to ourselves, if we're not loving to ourselves, easy with ourselves, we will show up with our children with that same disconnect, with that same criticism, that judgment, that agitation. So these next few months are your last few months with Sandy as we know her. And then a whole new being is going to be born, the mother. First, the mother is born, and then the child is born. So are we taking care of the mother? And the more we take care of the mother, then the child naturally blossoms from that nurturing of her garden. When her garden is blooming, the child's garden is blossoming. So it's so interconnected, but I would really advise you to stay away from all these TikTok videos and social media videos because they're designed to make you feel like you're not doing enough or makes you scared of all the things you could do, which didn't even cross your mind until you saw those videos.
And I think also with social media, it's very heavily anecdotal. And at times, because there's such an influx of information at any point in time, even if it's anecdotal, you're scrolling through and you're like, oh my gosh, this could possibly be me, even though it's the furthest thing from your own personality.
Exactly. So it creates this sense of insecurity and comparison, right? You're scrolling through these parenting pages perhaps, and you're listening to one parent talking about homeschooling, and you're thinking, oh, maybe I can do that. Then you're looking at another video of a mother teaching her child how to crochet, and you're like, oh, I better learn how to crochet then. And then another video is about mountaineering with your child, in Tanzania, and you're like, oh, let's go to Africa. This is insanity, and this is the insanity of modern parenting, of the modern world. And so it's really important for every parent out there, not just you, to realize that we have to get off this constant hamster wheel of social media because it is designed to be anecdotal, like you said. And these little bits and pieces of other people's lives have nothing to do with our life, but they rob us of our peace and sanity in the present moment. So it's happening to you and your child isn't even born. Your child isn't even born and you're already insecure about who you may be in the future. Do you see? The best approach to parenting is really what I teach, is the conscious parenting approach, which is moment by moment, am I present? Am I showing up for the being in front of me and the being that I am with full awareness, with present moment presence? And am I attuning to both of us, myself and my child, in the most authentic, connected, and empowering way? That is your only focus. And if you do that, then all the rest, will he talk? Will he sleep? Will he be a baseball player? Where will he go to college? All that gets sorted out. But the basic needs of a connection with you first needs to be met. And just keep your focus there. But again, that comes from your connection to yourself.
Yeah, that's actually something that I'm trying to be very conscious and cognizant about, especially as the days start to narrow down before his arrival, where building my connection with myself will help me build a stronger connection with him.
Exactly.
And build balance.
Exactly. So get off social media. That's the best advice I can give all of us, because it just creates this deep sense of not good enoughness. I need to be doing more. I need to become a different kind of human being and live in a different country on a different planet. No, that is just going to crowd your head and divorce you from the present moment. You have so much to look forward to. You are going to be birthing a whole new you. And that's what you need to begin to welcome. Before you even think about your future child, be ready to embrace the new you. Thank you so much for joining us. You've been an amazing guest. I'm so excited for you for your new journey.
Thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful.
The most successful parent, in my opinion, is a parent who can show up fully present, empowered, joyful, connected, and authentic with their children. And that takes inner work. And that's what I teach in conscious parenting. When we raise ourselves, then we show up for our children in exactly the ways they need, fully attuned, fully connected, fully present. Thank you for joining me on this episode. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and share it. And I will see you on the next episode of Parenting and You with me, Dr. Shefali. Parenting and You with Dr. Shefali is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for professional medical, psychological, psychotherapeutic, coaching, healthcare, or other qualified professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment.